With over 2,600 attendees for Ultimate Singles, Super Smash Con 2023 clocked in as the 4th largest Smash event of all time 5 years after the game's release and during the game's most controversial meta yet. In attendance were 8 of the top 10 players in the world, including all of the top 6, and while heavy hitters like MKLeo, Yoshidora, and Gluttony weren't in attendance, the level of competition was undoubtedly of the highest caliber. The main stories going into this event revolved around the top 2 players from the 2 best regions, Akola and Mia from Japan, and Spargo and Sonics from North America. Coming in at number 1 and number 3 respectively on Lumi rank, Akola and Mia have clearly been dominating the Japanese Smash scene. Piloting their signature thanks for trying to play the game characters, both young competitors have picked up multiple S-tier major wins in less than 2 years of offline tournament experience. Although neither of them were able to claim the title at the Canadian Super Major Battle of BC5, now back in North America, both were gunning for a P-tier tournament win. Spargo and Sonics, on the other hand, have seemed to have a stranglehold over the North American scene. Whether it's in grand finals of Smash Factor or GAML or online in Coinbox, these two are always in contention to take home any event they enter. Given the fact that they've met in grand finals at the previous 2 majors, they were expected to match off once again. Wait, what? They got what place? They lost to who? Oh man, well, luckily for the North American scene, when there's darkness, he's DaLight. When you're sick, he's DaCure. When you're starving, he's DaBread. The former King of New York himself, DaBuzz, was able to use his veteran experience to make the run of the event at SmashCon 2023 and propelled Rosalina farther than anyone could have ever expected. For those of you unfamiliar with DaBuzz, he's currently the number 24 ranked player in the world and by far the best Rosalina player in the world. DaBuzz began back in Brawl as one of the best Olimar players, being a multiple-time top 20 player in that title. He's actually the only player from the 2013 Brawl Retro rank that's still ranked in 2023, outside of Kameme, who was an honorable mention in that ranking. His devastating Rosalina was birthed in Smash 4 though, where he was seen as a top 5 player of all time and one of the most consistent players in the world. He failed to get a single-digit placement in Smash 4 a total of 4 times throughout his near 4 years of competing. He even won one of the game's most prolific and stacked events ever, Civil War, from the winner's side of the bracket. In Smash Ultimate, DaBuzz has, outside of this most recent season, been a consensus top 15 player. Despite his strength as a player, DaBuzz wasn't able to bring home his first Smash Ultimate major win until CEO 2023 in June. And before that, he was actually in somewhat of a slump for 2023. He had been Mr. Consistency in the early days of Ultimate, but now it's a little bit the opposite. He had a streak of 33rds at Collision, Maysuma top 12, and Delta number 4, then goes on to get 4th at Kagaribi with a 9-set losers run, 13th at Battle of BC5, then 1st at CEO a month later. Oh, after that he fell all the way back to 17th at GAML. So as we've gone from Brawl to Smash 4 to now Ultimate, we've seen many players come and go, and in 2023 we're seeing a new generation take over the game. But like I mentioned before, DaBuzz has consistently been one of the best for over a decade now, and it really raises the question, how does he do it? Especially in one of the most oppressive metas the game has ever seen. To contextualize it outside of Smash a bit, some professional sports players get drafted into the pro leagues simply based on their freakish athleticism. Because they've been able to rely on their physical abilities, some of them never truly learned how to understand and see the game at a high level, only how to abuse their one specific strength. Once they've suffered an injury or Father Time came to pay them a visit, they fade out of their leagues almost immediately as their main attribution that they brought to the team was now taken away. On the other hand, some players play for an extended period of time, and while their bodies might not be what they were before, their high IQ of the game allows them to adapt and keep up with the meta. DaBuzz has done just that. With a heavy analytical style and commitment to understand the most minute interactions of the game, he is an absolute menace in any title he sinks his time into. Even as crazier and crazier characters get released and more challenges arose, DaBuzz was able to overcome, and this has kept him among the top level of competition in Smash for over a decade now. Early on in Smash Ultimate, DaBuzz lacked faith in Rosalina, opting for Olimar, who was one of the strongest characters in the game on release. After the first wave of major nerfs in the game's history, Olimar was hit heavily, so in response to DaBuzz thinking his best character now sucked, he began sinking some more time into Rosalina. As new patches released, the character received multiple buffs, making them a much more complete and competent character, giving DaBuzz even more faith in her. With the release of Min Min, DaBuzz began to focus a lot of his attention on her and saw great results. In fact, he claimed his one and only win over MKLeo with Min Min. So the trio of Rosalina, Olimar, and Min Min became one of the deadliest, most mentally stressing character lineups in the world. Contrary to what the tier list might tell you, Rosalina is definitely the best character in his lineup. DaBuzz has mastered the puppet character archetype. A puppet character moves or commands a secondary entity on the screen as they fight, allowing you to play essentially 2 against 1 on the opponent. This style of character was introduced all the way back in Smash Melee with the addition of Ice Climbers, and with every title we've seen more and more added, from Olimar in Brawl with his Pikmin or Rosalina with Luma. DaBuzz gravitates towards these characters. While the micromanagement can be overwhelming for some, DaBuzz has cracked the code. Rosalina specifically has some cool attributes. She has access to Luma, who, similar to Ice Climbers, mimics the moves Rosalina does. But unlike the Ice Climbers, Luma has a health bar versus percentage, only being able to take 40% before dying, but they respawn after about 10 seconds. You can't grab with Luma, but you can shoot them and remain separated for long periods of time. This allows you to pressure multiple areas at the same time, find kill opportunities, and even tank hits. Along with this, there's an advanced technique called dash attack canceling, where you can essentially throw out a dash attack with Luma while you're able to perform any action out of a jump. You can combo it into an aerial or an air dodge to the ground to confirm a grab, and it can be tricky to figure out, but DaBuzz had them on lock at this event. SmashCon has always been a bit of a cursed event for DaBuzz. 2015 was a bit of a letdown, but at SmashCon 2016, he made one of the biggest losers runs in that game's history. 2017 is where we saw the curse begin, though, when DaBuzz got upset in pools by Oklahoma Korean main Muj in one of Smash 4's biggest upsets of all time, and he ended up finishing at 33rd. In 2018, he was upset by Geist, who was starting to make a name as one of the best Bayonettas in North America, and DaBuzz ended up getting 33rd again. In 2019, he was upset by Rafi X in Winners, then was eliminated by an up-and-coming Riddles, who was on the run of his life at that point, where DaBuzz exited at 49th place. Even at SmashCon Fall Fest in 2021, DaBuzz placed an unexpected 17th. He did redeem himself last year, getting 5th at one of the biggest events ever, but it's clear to see the event has always been a bit of a question mark for him in the past. DaBuzz had to make it through some difficult opponents before he even made it to top 32. He picked up wins over Justice's Min Min, who notably almost beat MKLeo at Genesis this year, Creepuba, a Ridley main from Maryland that upset Fatality and Soar, and finally SoCal's best player, Chase. Chase has recently been picking up amazing win after amazing win and was looking to add DaBuzz to that list, going up 2-0 against DaBuzz's Olimar. After a switch to Rosalina and his world-class adaptation, DaBuzz brought the set back, 3-stocking Chase in the final game and securing his spot in top 32. DaBuzz's first match of top 32 was the 4th seed and Japan's second best player, Mia. While Mia's seed suggested that he was heavily favored to take the set, DaBuzz has actually had a great history against Game & Watch and was confident going into this. Not only was he able to defeat Mia in their previous encounter a few months prior at the Tokyo Boot Camp, he hasn't lost a set to Meister in over 3 years, showing his mastery of this matchup. The set started off with an excellent display of Rosalina's advantages in this matchup. While Mia looked to keep the pressure up and force DaBuzz into taking the offensive, DaBuzz chose to sit back, forcing Mia to fight with Luma more often than not, and through that he was able to tank a lot of hits and begin to develop an idea of what Mia's game plan was going to be. Mia might have a young man's reaction time and execution, but with DaBuzz's immaculate defense, he's able to mitigate Game & Watch's ridiculous advantage state and reduce his openings to simple 1 or 2 hit interactions. This veteran tempo and discipline is something that pays dividends against Game & Watch as a character. The 2 traded games with DaBuzz ultimately going up 2-1 in the set. Mia fought back and brought it down to a decisive Game 5, but DaBuzz brought it back to Final Destination, and unlike his Game 3 performance, it looked like Mia had figured it out this time around. A Luma up smash on ledge evened out the game, and it was now a last stock situation. With both players at over 110% and Luma close to returning, Mia became overzealous and hard committed to a dash attack out of the corner. DaBuzz, already a step ahead though, used his floaty short hop to dodge the dash attack and hit a landing down air to up smash confirm, taking the set Game 5 and upsetting one of the best players in the world. Now in winner's quarters, DaBuzz's next matchup was against a crowd favorite and one of the biggest content creators in Ultimate, Mars. Previously a top 5 player in the world, Mars has taken a backseat to competition in recent years, but he was far from washed. As number 34 on the alt rank and with 2 upsets against Onin and Light in bracket, Mars was looking to make something huge happen. These 2 players also have a rich history against each other, going all the way back to Smash 4 where DaBuzz dominated Mars, being 7-2 against him. In Smash Ultimate, DaBuzz had won their 6 sets leading up to Genesis, where we finally saw Mars figure out the Olimar and defeat him. The thing about it though is that DaBuzz has only been able to beat Mars with that aforementioned Olimar in the past, and now that his trump card had been figured out, he was going to have to make some changes. DaBuzz took Game 1 with the Olimar, which is a character Zero Suit might struggle with a bit, and Mars hates a lot, but after a Game 1 win, Mars struck back with a 2-stock in Game 2, hitting a ridiculous 0-death on DaBuzz's last stock and forcing the switch to Rosalina. DaBuzz was able to get the Game 3 with Rosalina before Mars came back and closed up Game 4, ultimately bringing it down to one final game to decide the set. Both had already won huge Game 5 sets at this event, and they were confident they could do it again. Mars tried to bring it together on his last stock, but with some tricky Luma movement, DaBuzz was able to close out the set with a Luma up smash on ledge, making it over to top 8. In top 8, rather than Spargo or Zamba, DaBuzz was slated to fight against Ken. These 2 also have a rather long history dating back to Smash 4, where Ken dominated against DaBuzz throughout that game's lifespan. They've faced off in the US and Japan, but between all their encounters, their set record was a measly 1-6 for DaBuzz. In Ultimate, it's been a different story though, being up 2-0 on Ken Sephiroth and Sonic, but Ken Sonic has been looking particularly polished recently. And let me tell you, if you know anything about Ken Sonic, he plays how Twitch chat thinks Sonic's plays. The average game length between the first 4 games was over 6 minutes per game, and outside of a strong 2-stock from DaBuzz in Game 3, every game was a last stock, last hit situation. Clutch moments came from both competitors at every point in the set, but it was a war of attrition. With less than 30 seconds on the clock, Ken was able to win Game 4 against DaBuzz with an all-or-nothing up smash. DaBuzz was shocked, and the crowd was heartbroken, knowing that might have been the turning point of the set. But DaBuzz was completely unfazed. He destroyed Ken Game 5, walling up with Luma's disjointing hitbox, then dissecting his disadvantage while airborne, then giving him hell every time he grabbed ledge. The 2-stock victory brought DaBuzz to winners finals to face off against the #1 ranked player in the world, Akola. DaBuzz and Akola have played on 3 separate occasions. DaBuzz took their first encounter back in Ultimate Summit 5, being the first North American player in Smash history to take a set off Akola. Akola was able to win 2 Game 5 sets at Ludwig Smash Invitational and Battle of BC 5, but DaBuzz hadn't been able to overcome this Steve adversary. Unfortunately, this matchup wasn't much different for him. DaBuzz did take Game 1 against Akola, showing off his extraordinary Luma usage, being able to pressure Akola's walls with attack cancel up tilts and down tilts, not putting himself at any risk. He also positioned Luma in a way where he was able to trap Akola's normal options and disadvantage by boxing him in. The next 3 games were competitive, with DaBuzz even taking stock leads at multiple points, but Akola was just too strong, committing to full camp mode with Steve when he needed resources. If DaBuzz even looked at the wall, Akola was already preparing to build up the next and continue to mine up his iron. DaBuzz ultimately fell 3-1 to Steve and was now waiting in losers finals. Crawling all the way back through losers, DaBuzz's top 32 opponent Mia had made one of his strongest losers runs ever. Beating Shootone, Light, Tweak, Didi, Ken, and Zamba, Mia earned his run back against DaBuzz, and despite being seeded to beat every opponent he faced, it didn't make his run any less impressive. This set was eerily similar to the previous. Both were playing a very slow, disciplined game. Mia took the first game in convincing fashion, and DaBuzz was able to take both a 2-stock and a last stock Game 3 to push himself up 2-1 in the set. Mia seemed to figure it out in Game 4, managing the Luma a lot more efficiently in this second encounter. He took any chance he got to kill the star and begin pressuring DaBuzz non-stop. DaBuzz didn't have an answer for it, and we were now in another Game 5 situation. Also worth noting, DaBuzz now entered his 5th Game 5 of the tournament, and to continue the trend of the other 4, we saw the Puppet Master take over. The first stock was absolute destruction on the Game & Watch, and somehow DaBuzz, with a big hurtbox floaty character, made himself so hard to hit. With a mere 12% taken, Mia was now about to enter DAZN. DaBuzz held his lead with an iron grip, and even though Mia managed to survive to over 165 on his final stock, DaBuzz closed out the game with a JV2 and added another win on the #2 player in the world. But unfortunately, to everyone's disappointment, we didn't get another year of Steve versus Game & Watch in SmashCon Grand Finals. And even worse, things didn't go much better for DaBuzz in Grands. Akola honestly dominated, triple 2-stocking the Rosalina and claiming the biggest tournament win of his own career, as well as making Steve a back-to-back SmashCon winner. This was an incredibly impressive win for the Steve, but we wish we could have seen more of the Beast in action. Now with the P-tier win, Akola has clearly solidified his spot as #1 in the world, Mia has likely slotted himself in as #2, and DaBuzz? Well, DaBuzz showed that even as time continues to pass and players rise and fall, we should always expect to see DaGoat up there with the greats.
Mia at Super SmashCon and gets a rematch against Akola.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you guys think about the content in the comments below. I really like doing these Ultimate videos, but I would just love any feedback that you guys may have. Thank you to our top tier patrons and YouTube members, Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Dorian, Eric is Cool, Juniper, NNG Esports, Storm, and Tingly Jungle for supporting the channel. Alright, go watch one of these things now. We'll see you later.